Yo, what's up? So, I'm thinking about like, what does eternity mean? And what does it mean and what does it look like? Right? So, if eternity means essentially infinite, that means at some point in time, in the infinite expansion of things, all things get forgotten. From stories to people, songs to like tribes and towns, all their names just forgotten. Cities, great cities, like everything that we have now and perceive will be forgotten at some point in time. Because everything is constantly always expanding. I couldn't flip the camera, remember that from last time. I don't really know what to say, like I kinda just turned the camera on. I have a like from my last video about eternity. There's a car coming up here. Don't know. Yeah, but like last video was about what would it mean to be immortal and living forever. And so for the past couple of days, I haven't really thought about it very much, but today I've been like thinking about it more. What is time like when you're eternal? And now I know for a fact that most adults would recognize that as they get older, time starts to fly by is when they reflect back on like their time being alive and they say it's so quick. So, and I think that's the fact that you start getting used to what time is like for you. Because when you're born, you're like, everything's brand new, including time and how long that feels. So let's say you get to the stage where you're, 10 years old, you've only got a limited perception of what time feels like. And it's like there's a period of time in your development that you start to adjust to it. And then you feel more grounded in what time is. So that could mean like when you're, let's say, 30, you start to understand like, holy crap, things are actually pretty quick. You want to get everything done that you feel and instinctually feel like you want to do. But then, so once you've got the whole of that idea, like of how you, let's say you do reach 30, let's say there is a period of time that it takes to grow into being able to realize how long time is and like how quick it goes by. Well, supposedly quick, right? Because everyone is a lot of adults, almost all adults, have said that in my life that time just is so quick, and it just seems like for me culturally that's just what's said a lot. And so if that is true, which at this point in time for me, I'm starting to feel that. I'm starting to realize, holy shit, there is, when you sit in time itself and like, I guess it's just being in the present. But let's say, with immortality and you did live long, wouldn't that mean that let's say you go through, you get to feel like, you get to feel how long 100 years being alive feels like. And you're like, holy crap, that was really cool. And you get another 100 years, and you're like, oh man, that was quite some year, like 100 years to reach 200. And then like you go on your third one and it starts becoming the same thing, like you start to get used to it, and so stuff goes faster. Now there's a general point that I'm actually trying to get to here, I'm just building up to it, but like I'm hoping you can getting the picture of this so far. So you get into this build up, right? And so you could almost theoretically say, based on the human experience of time speeding up, theoretically at least, I'm not saying that any of what I'm saying is true. It just seems like through the patterns for human beings psychologically, if this thing is a real thing that we keep saying all the time, which it is something that I've experienced people saying a lot, I see a lot of that in my experience. And so wouldn't, for someone who is immortal, time would start to speed up a lot quicker, at least how we perceive time and how we feel time. So to the point where like one single year can feel like, no, 10 years could feel like a moment, because you'd be so far along in your lifespan at that point of time of being immortal. Fuck, that's a weird thought, man. So that means that at some stage and point, if this feeling of time continues to speed up for you as an immortal person, you'd start to get to the point of like watching stars collapse. You'd get so advanced because you'd have so much time. Like, whatever time is, if it is really eternal and infinite in nature, with the collection of what space is, you'd be so advanced in your technology and your build up, and you'd actually be able to develop the society, because you could sit at a point, and let's say everyone else can't necessarily reach that point of immortality, like that, or that the ability to have immortality. Let's say you just get it, like let's say you get one wish, and the one wish you wish was, I want immortality. What kind of person would you be? Well, you'd be a number of different types of people. You wouldn't be happy staying in one type of way, because as humans we change and we develop, and like who we are changes as time progresses. We become new people through experiences and experience, But for us, 100 years, well, if you do live to 100 years, you don't even really notice much of like yourself changing, and you realize, you do at some stages realize, when you reflect that, oh crap, I went through stages. And you reflect back on your life, like, I had a goth stage. Well, it was light goth stage, but you know still kind of in it. I like black. Black's good color, contrast. But like, if you were immortal, you would essentially go through so many adjustments and development. You'd be stuck in development. You couldn't really escape it otherwise. What would be the point? That was something else I vaguely went over my head earlier today. Was like, what's if you're gonna be immortal? Why? Do you have a goal? Is there something that you would want to work on for the rest of your life, as an example? Like, what are you doing now? Like, what are you naturally working towards now? You know? What are you trying to learn and develop upon? Because when you're not, you can kind of see that we can see that people are depressed, and most people aren't working necessarily towards anything because people need purpose. What's purpose? Something that you can get emotionally involved with, something that you want to do regardless of money or whatever. And it comes to that point, it's a passion because it's like a type of love, but there's also some kind of discipline. It creates order in your life as well, whatever this thing is. And so that's what it's like. You start to try to find purpose. Okay, what's your purpose? Like, what are your values? What do you want to actually create? You can create anything in the world, and we have so many people that, give us the ability to see our greatness and what we can create. And we have the resources. I know that not everywhere has resources. Some people are more blessed than others, But resources isn't just necessarily money, it's your environment where you reside, your ability to reside there too. So then it's like, there's so many things to kind of take on board when you're trying to look for that. And that would be, if you couldn't figure that out and be immortal, then you'd get to a point where, like, am I going to be depressed for the rest of my life? Quite literally. Like, your life is the rest of whatever eternal means. Or whether or not infinity actually exists. Because none of us can actually experience an infinity without having to actually be in it the whole way through. So then, to a certain point, it could say that infinity is pointless, but not necessarily. Depends on how you look at it. How was this video? Fucking 12 minutes. Holy shit. So what could be a goal over, like, people leave like remnants of themselves. When you die, you leave stuff behind as well. Like, if you're eternal, what would you do there? Would you let yourself, would you help the society to develop and grow so that you can grow as an individual, because you'd be able to advance more of your technology and everything, right? Or you could just not give a fuck at all, ever. And you do get to the point where you start seeing stars blinking essentially, because you're sitting in a space of time that everything moves so quick for you because you get used to it. Per se, this is a theoretical thing. So it'd be like seeing blinking stuff. You want to leave something behind, wouldn't you? Because those are the two choices. I'm looping back. So would you, with your passion or with whatever your purpose is on the inside, deep within the inside, is that something leaving a legacy, or would you rather not? But would you change as a person over time? Come to more, because you have so much time to understand yourself and get who you are. Like, I mean, we talk about a soul, but the soul is like, you get your time here and then you die, and then we don't know. Like, so if you're immortal, would you leave things behind to show that you were there? And being immortal, I guess in a sense, makes you technically a god because you're eternal, unless you have ways that you can die. But I don't know. Maybe you could get to a point you get invincible, right? All the technology and shit, man. You just like grow. So that's like something else to consider. And let's say there's other life forms out in space, right? Like, how would you get involved with them and then communicating to them? I'm actually immortal. I could study your entire, your people, and I could be in amongst you, being immortal. And it's just weird. It's just so weird to think about, because, we do throw these words around most of the time, and no one really takes any serious consideration into what they mean, at least from what I can see, except from old philosophies and, I guess, occult stuff, and I don't know, there's been a lot of people who've wanted immortality, you know, a lot. Even people dying, emperors dying with all their men, so that they could take their men to the afterlife and rule there. It's crazy, man. Anyway, I'm getting cold. It's kind of cold out here now, but yeah. None of this is like, everything that I say, take with a grain of salt. I'm a salt. Grain of salt. Fuck. So yeah, take with a grain of salt, because like, these are just ideas. I'm throwing them out there. If you want to talk about it, go ahead. I'm interested in hearing other people's points of views. But ultimately, this is me just kind of shooting out dialogue and trying to understand certain ideas for myself. And we're trying to like establish something and comprehend their limits. Like, where is my comprehension's limit to this thing, you know? I I'm out.